stop scrolling right now, because what I'm about to tell you will completely change the way you deal with people who drain your energy, manipulate your mind, and steal your peace. Most people never hear this, and that's why they stay stuck, frustrated, and controlled by others. But you, if you listen closely, you're about to discover something they don't want you to know, a truth so simple, yet so powerful, it will shock you. Have you ever noticed how some people always leave you drained, anxious, or confused after talking to them? Maybe they criticize you, maybe they guilt trip you, or maybe they make you feel like you're never enough. Most people ignore it. Most people think it's normal. But the truth is, it's not. It's toxicity, and the moment you recognize it, the moment you truly see it, you take the first step toward reclaiming your life. And here's the part most people never understand. Recognizing toxicity is only the beginning. Setting boundaries, detaching emotionally, and taking control of your reactions is what separates the weak from the unstoppable. Imagine never being manipulated, never being drained, never losing sleep over someone else's drama. Imagine turning their negativity, the insults, the manipulation, the backhanded comments, into fuel that pushes you forward, not backward. In this video, I'm going to show you how to identify the people who are secretly controlling your life, how to protect your mind without guilt or hesitation, and how to convert every toxic encounter into unstoppable momentum that transforms your life forever. By the end of this video, you won't just survive toxicity, you will dominate it. So stay with me, because what you're about to learn is not just advice, it's a life-altering strategy that will make sure toxic people no longer control your world, and you'll finally experience peace, power, and freedom like you have never felt before. You have to understand something fundamental. Toxic people are not always obvious. They don't always wear a sign that says, "I will drain your energy, sabotage your peace, and manipulate your mind." Most of the time, they look normal. They might even smile at you. They might charm you. They might say all the right words at the right moment, and that is exactly the trap. Because toxicity is not always loud. Often, it is subtle. It creeps into your life slowly like smoke in a room, and before you even notice it, it clouds your vision, it steals your clarity, it robs you of confidence, of joy, of focus. The first step in handling toxic people is to see them clearly for what they are. Not what you wish they were, not what they pretend to be, but what they actually are. Recognition starts with awareness. It is about observing patterns rather than isolated incidents. A toxic person is not someone who occasionally makes a mistake or speaks out of frustration. Toxicity is a consistent behavior, a recurring pattern that leaves you feeling worse than you felt before interacting with them. Pay attention to your own energy when you are around someone. Do you feel drained, confused, angry, uneasy? That is the red flag. Your body and your emotions are telling you the truth, even when your mind is trying to rationalize it. Don't ignore those signals. Don't blame yourself. Toxic people have mastered the art of manipulation. They will make you question your perceptions. They will make you feel like the problem lies within you. But the truth is, if a person consistently leaves you feeling small, doubted, or invalidated, it is not you. It is them. You also have to understand the subtle forms that toxicity can take. It is not always aggressive or confrontational. Sometimes it is passive-aggressive behavior, backhanded compliments, silent treatment, or constant criticism disguised as advice. Sometimes it is guilt-tripping or emotional blackmail, making you feel responsible for their happiness or their mood. Other times it is more invisible, like negativity, disguised as concern. They might question your choices, belittle your achievements, or subtly undermine your confidence while pretending to be supportive. These are the tactics of toxic individuals. They know that the more subtle their influence, the more insidious the damage. They don't need to scream or attack outright because they can dismantle your peace quietly, methodically, and visibly. And here's something shocking that most people never fully realize. Toxic people are not always people you can walk away from easily. They could be family, coworkers, friends, mentors, even romantic partners. Because of this, the recognition process cannot just be about labeling people as bad and dismissing them casually. Recognition is about truth, clarity, and honesty. It is about seeing situations objectively and acknowledging patterns without excuses. It is about refusing to normalize behavior that undermines your well-being. Too often, we tell ourselves they mean well, or they didn't do it on purpose, or I can handle it. And while compassion is a virtue, denial is not. Denying the reality of someone's toxicity is one of the fastest ways to let it take control of your life. The process of identification is also deeply psychological. You must learn to distinguish between discomfort that leads to growth and discomfort that leads to harm. There are people who challenge you in ways that are positive, that push you to evolve, that make you confront your weaknesses constructively. That is growth. Toxic people, on the other hand, challenge you to break you. They make you feel insecure, anxious, and powerless. They do not push you to evolve. They push you to doubt, to fear, to shrink. Understanding this difference is critical because it allows you to draw a line between influence that is constructive and influence that is destructive. Once you recognize toxicity, the next step is acknowledging your right to protect yourself. Recognition is not just mental, it is moral and emotional. It is a declaration to yourself that your peace matters, that your energy is sacred, that your mind and your heart are not playgrounds for someone else's insecurities, manipulations, or drama. Many people fail at handling toxic relationships because they underestimate the importance of this acknowledgement. They underestimate their own power to define boundaries, to assert their value, to reject negative influences. But once you see the toxicity clearly, you cannot unsee it. And once you cannot unsee it, you are free to act. Recognition also requires honesty with yourself about your own role in interactions. This is not about blame. It is about understanding dynamics. Sometimes we tolerate toxicity longer than we should because of fear, guilt, or codependency. Sometimes we stay silent because confrontation feels uncomfortable. Recognizing toxicity means confronting these truths. It means asking yourself, why am I allowing this? What am I hoping to achieve? And most importantly, what will I lose if I continue to accept this behavior? These questions are uncomfortable, but growth never happens in comfort. They are the questions that separate those who remain trapped in toxic cycles from those who reclaim their lives. And here is the final truth that will shock most of you. Recognizing toxicity is the ultimate act of self-respect. It is the moment when you refuse to be manipulated, refuse to be drained, refuse to be controlled. It is the moment when you stop pretending that someone else's chaos is your responsibility. It is the moment when you start taking full ownership of your life and your energy. You are no longer a bystander. You are no longer a victim. You are the gatekeeper of your mind, your heart, and your peace. So today, I want you to make a commitment, not just mentally, but emotionally. Promise yourself that you will no longer ignore the subtle signals. Promise yourself that you will not rationalize away behavior that consistently harms you. Promise yourself that you will recognize toxicity for what it is and honor your right to protect yourself, because recognition is power. Recognition is clarity. Recognition is the first step toward freedom. The moment you see a toxic person clearly, you take back control. You are no longer at their mercy. You are no longer lost in their drama. You are awake, and once you are awake, nothing they do can touch the core of who you are. Remember this. The first step to handling toxic people is not confrontation. It is seeing clearly, understanding deeply, and respecting yourself enough to act. Once you do that, everything else becomes possible. Once you have recognized toxicity in someone's behavior, the next step is far more than awareness. It is action. It is the deliberate choice to reclaim your space, your mind, and your life. And that action is setting boundaries, strong, clear, unshakable boundaries. This is where most people stumble. They recognize the problem. They see the toxicity, but they hesitate to act. They tell themselves, maybe if I try harder, they'll change. Or I have to tolerate this because I care about them. That hesitation is exactly what toxic people rely on. They survive on the gaps in your courage, the places where your resolve wavers, the moments when your peace is negotiable. But once you decide that your boundaries are non-negotiable, once you choose to prioritize your mental and emotional safety above their comfort, you shift the balance of power. Setting boundaries is not simply saying no once and hoping it sticks. It is a consistent practice, a deliberate architecture of your life designed to protect your energy. Boundaries are the rules you set for how people can interact with you and what behavior you will no longer tolerate. They are the invisible walls that separate your peace from chaos, your growth from stagnation. And the truth is, boundaries will feel uncomfortable at first, both for you and for them. Toxic people will resist, test, push, and guilt you. That is part of the process. They are counting on your discomfort to weaken your resolve. But the discomfort you feel is not a sign to give up. It is a sign that you are finally doing what you should have been doing all along. Emotional detachment goes hand in hand with